Dumelang. Let's get on with this paper here. It is the November 2024 paper one. I've already done some questions on this. I am just finishing it off. And this is where I stopped, and I will just continue from here. And I did specify in the previous video, when you're asked to solve for x in terms of y, so you know that your solution will have y in it, but we're dealing with exponents here. And I did explain it in the previous video that we don't have a choice but to make sure that we have same bases on both sides. Since our exponents are unknown here, we need to make sure that we have same bases on both sides. If we cannot reduce this, we cannot reduce the bases to be the same, then we have to apply log laws to solve for the unknown exponent. But here we need to try by all means to simplify the bases. And I will start with 3. Now, to simplify the bases, you first have to make sure that you prime factorize. Already 3 is a prime number, so you don't need to change 3. Basically, that 3, I will just write it as 3 to the exponent of x plus 2y, right? So that one will be written as 3 to the exponent of x plus 2y because it's already a prime number. I can't reduce it any further. However, I can reduce 9 to a prime number. So when you simplify it or reduce it to a prime number, you will have to put it in brackets because this whole 9 is raised to the exponent of 3y. Now, prime factorize 9. What is 9 prime factor? It is 3 to the exponent of 2, right? And you will divide this. When you prime factorize 27, it'll be 3 to the exponent of 3. And that's what we will be left with. Now, on the left-hand side, you will write this as 3 to the exponent of x plus 2y is equal to, break the bracket in the numerator by multiplying the exponents, all right? And you will multiply 2 with 3y. 2 multiplied by 3y will simply give you 3 to the exponent of 6y, and this is divided by 3 to the exponent of 3. Now, to simplify the right-hand side even further, you will have 3 to the exponent of x plus 2y. Now, on the right-hand side, you're dividing the bases that are the same. So you will write that as a single base and take the numerator exponent, which is that 6y, and subtract the denominator exponent, which is the 3. When the bases are the same and you're dividing, you just subtract the bigger exponent, the smaller exponent from the bigger exponent here. Obviously, we don't know what the variable y is. We'll just say the numerator exponent minus the denominator exponent, and you will have an exponent of 6y minus 3. Now that the bases are the same, as we needed to do that, all you can do now is simply to drop the exponent, and it comes from the rule that if the bases are the same and you have equal sign in between, then it follows that the exponents should also be the same, all right? If the bases are the same and you are trying to solve for x and these two sides are the same, you will simply have to drop the bases and just equate the exponents. And that's what you will have to do here, right? All you have to do is to make sure that you drop the bases and you equate the exponents. So all I'm going to do here is to drop these bases here, the 3 and the 3. We are going to just drop them. I normally say when the bases are the same, you just equate the exponents. I don't mention the dropping part, okay? So what we're going to have here will be x plus 2y is equals to 6y minus 3. Isolate x. When you isolate x, this 2y will go to the right hand side. So it will change signs. You'll end up having 6y minus 2y minus 3. And 6y minus 2y will give you 4y minus 3. So x will be equal to 4y minus 3. They said you need to solve in terms of y. So you need to solve for x in terms of y. And we have done that x is equals to 4y minus 3. And this is what you were supposed to have done here to solve for x. Let's go to the next question here. We are solving for x with sets. Now, what you need to understand here, you just have to follow simple steps, okay? The first step, guys, that I always say is that isolate the set. The set will always be that square root or cube root or the fifth root. Just isolate it. To isolate means that you leave it on one side on its own and you take everything to the other side. So what I'm going to do here is to leave the square root of x plus 8 on the left hand side and transpose minus x. And on the right hand side already I've got 2. So when you transpose minus x, that minus x will just be equal to 2. Even if you wrote it as 2 plus x, it'll still be the same thing. Understand that, guys. 2 plus 3 is equals to 5. And 3 plus 2 is equals to 5. So it doesn't matter how you arrange them, you will still get the same answer. All right. I know someone will be like, yeah, but why did you start with x? It really doesn't matter. Now, that is the first step. We have already isolated the third here. So that square root of x plus 8 is left on the left hand side. Now we need to get rid of that square root. To get rid of that square root, if it was a cube root, we are going to cube both sides. But because it's a square root, we are simply going to square both sides. And that is in order for us to get rid of that square root. And the reason we're doing this, we're squaring both sides, is because for that square root, the square root represents an exponent of a half. So when we multiply it by 2, we'll end up having an exponent of 1. So basically, we're just solving for whatever we have underneath the square root by getting rid of the square root. But whatever you do on the left, you must also do on the right. Now, the root here, I don't like saying crossing out, but they cross out. It's just because you multiply a half and a 2. When you multiply a half and a 2, that will just give you 1, which is what we're simply doing here. So we reduce the exponent because the square root represents the exponent of a half. Now, to reduce that exponent of a half to 1, we just square both sides. That's all we did. Now, on the left hand side, we'll be left with x plus 8 will be equal to, on the right hand side, though, you are squaring a binomial. Since you're squaring a binomial, you can simply follow a simple thing. You just take the first term of that binomial, which is x, you just square it, okay? And then you multiply everything. So you're going to take x, you multiply it with positive 2, and then you multiply it with the exponent, which is the 2. Your answer here will just be plus 4x. The last term is always positive. Take it and square it. So the last term there will be 2. You'll just take that 2 or square it. If you don't want to do it this way, all you have to do is to make sure that you repeat the bracket twice. That's all you have to do. Repeat the bracket twice and FOIL out. You will still get the same answer. All right. You can repeat the bracket and FOIL out. So just to simplify this, I will have x plus 8. So this will be x plus 8 is equals to x squared plus 4x plus 4. And simplifying this means that you need to, I normally take everything to where I have the highest exponent, all right? The highest exponent here will be that x squared. Okay, this is not nice. I'll just write it nicely. And that means that I will simply have to transpose everything that is on the left-hand side to the right-hand side. And that is because if that exponent, I mean, that x with the highest exponent, which is 2, and this obviously tells you that we're going to have a quadratic equation. It is a quadratic equation, as a matter of fact. If it was negative, I was going to transpose everything to the left. But because it's positive, I'm just going to leave it there, all right? So what I will have here, I will have 0 on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, I will still have x squared. And then I'll have plus 4x. I'll leave some space there and then have plus 4. Now, when I transpose that x from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, it will become negative. So I move this x to the right-hand side. It was positive, so it will become negative. The 8 as well, when I move it to the right-hand side, it is positive. It will become negative. So that's how I will get those values over there. To simplify this even further, you will have x squared minus, note that actually it's plus here. Note that when you are adding or subtracting terms that have variables, you just add or subtract their coefficient. So you will just say 4 minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3, and then you keep the variable as it is. However, when you have 4 minus 8, that will give you minus 4. And obviously, when you subtract or you're adding or subtracting, remember, if the signs are not the same, you subtract and then take the sign of the bigger number. Obviously, here, negative 8 is the one, well, it's negative, but 8 is bigger than 4. Therefore, we're going to say 8 minus 4, and then we take the sign of 8, which is negative. Now, this is a simple trinomial, all right? The two factors of 4, that can give you a middle term of 3. If you were to say the factors of 4 that will give you a middle term of, when you subtract them, they must give you a middle term of 3. It can't be 2 and 2, all right? Because the factors of 4, guys, it is simply 4 times 1, which is 4, or you can say it is 2 times 2, which is equals to 4. I can't choose these ones here because 2 minus 2 will give me 0. But I know that if I choose those factors then 4 minus 1 will give me 3, which is the middle term that I'm looking for. So in each bracket, I will have x and x. The factors of 4 will be 4 and 1. Now you need to understand that between 4 and 1, the bigger one will take the sign of the middle term, which is plus. So the first bracket will take the positive sign and the second bracket will take the negative sign. I have discussed this in question 1 when we have factors like this. If you have factors multiplied and the product is equal to 0, all you are going to do is just to take each factor and simply equate it to 0. So all I'm going to do here is to take this x plus 4 equated to 0, or I'll have x minus 1 is equals to 0. I explained this in the first video and the second video. Please check them out. You will end up having x is equals to negative 4, or you will have x is equals to positive 1. Now, when it comes to sets, a lot of you guys stop right there. You don't do that, guys. Those are not your solutions. You need to go back to the original equation and check if your solutions are correct. By checking, guys, simply means that you're going to take the values of x or the values of your roots that you found. You're going to substitute them into the original equation, which is this one here. And that is x plus 8 minus x is equals to 2. All you're going to do is to substitute wherever there's x, you will substitute the first solution. The first solution that I'm going to substitute into x will be that negative 4. So I will have negative 4 plus 8 minus negative 4. And I will just try and simplify this. Under the square root, I'll be left with 4. And outside the square root, I'll be left with another 4, because negative times negative is positive. And obviously this should give us 2. If it doesn't give us 2, then we know that this x value of negative 4 is incorrect. So this will end up giving us 2 plus 4, which should be equals to 2, but it's not. Therefore, we are simply concluding that x can never be equals to negative 4. So you're going to go back there and just cross it out and just say it is not equals to negative 4. Now we're going to check the second root, okay? again here, wherever there is x, we are going to substitute the second solution. Let's see how much that will simply give us. I will have, wherever there's x, I will simply substitute 1, and I will substitute 1 over there. All right, all I have to do now is to simplify what is underneath the square root, and that will be 1 plus 8 is 9, and this is minus 1. The square root of 9 is actually 3, and you're going to have 3 minus 1, and 3 minus 1 is equals to 2. Therefore, we can say that x is equals to positive 1 is a solution. Are we clear, guys? Is everything making sense here? So this will be our solution over here. We still good? Making sense. All right, let's move to the second one here. Now, guys, you need to understand when you're talking about log, a log, the whole log with the base and the answer represents an exponent, okay? So this is basically an exponent of an answer or a product of 18 where the base is just equal to 10. That's what it means. Now they want us to, let me just read the question. They want us if log of 6 is equals to x and log of 3 is equals to y, they need us to determine the value of each of the following in terms of x and y. We are given 18 here. All you have to do is to make sure that you express 18 as 6 or 3, all right? But because this is a log and we are trying to apply log laws, you need to remember exponential laws, and then this will be easy for you. Remember, when you add exponents, you need to have the same basis. However, you need to be multiplying those bases, right? So here we're going to use those laws. Because I've got 18 here, I can't use plus or minus. It's either I use multiplication or division, but I must have my value of 6 and the value of 3. So what I'm going to do is just to express that 18 as a product of two factors, which will be a factor of 6 multiplied by 3. All right. Now here, when you have a product as an answer, it means that you actually added the exponent. And remember, I told you that the whole log represents an exponent. So if you were to expand this according to the log rules, if you don't want to use the understanding like I am explaining it to you right now, you can just apply the logarithm rule, which says that if the product is multiplied, then it means that you added the logs of those products. So it'll be log of 6, you added it with a log of 3. Now you need to understand that log of 6, as I've said, guys, if you want to understand what is going on here, a log simply represents an exponent. It means that if you have a product that is multiplied, then you simply added the exponents. That's what it's simply saying to you here. But you need to understand that log of 6 is actually x and log of 3 is actually y, and this is what they wanted you to do for 2 marks, just like that. Good? Is it making sense? Are you happy? All right, try this one out. What would you do here? You will get rid of the square root, right? How would you get rid of the square root? By raising 3 to an exponent of a half. Remember, the square root is an exponent of half. I explained it not long ago, right? So now you can quickly just drop that exponent and make it the coefficient of the log. So I will end up having a half log of 3. However, remember, log of 3 is actually equal to y. So this will simply be a half of y, because a whole log of 3 is actually equal to y, because we need to express it as y. Try this out. What are you going to do here? We need 6 and 3, right? And it's either we multiply 6 and 3 or we divide the 2. But since we've got an answer of 2 here, it simply means that we divided the 2. So we took the 6 and we divided by 3 and it gave us that 2. This is because we need to express this in terms of x and y. And for us to be able to do that, we need log of 6 and we also need log of 3. When your answers is a quotient, it means that you actually subtracted the exponent. So basically what you need to do here, remember the log together with the base means it's an exponent. You took the exponent of 6 and you minus the exponent of 3. The whole log represents an exponent, all right? Now, all you have to do here is simplify this. Obviously, log of 6 will be x and log of 3 will simply be y. And this is how you will express it in terms of x and y. And you will get 14 marks, all right? What question was this? It was question 2. All right. It was quite easy. It's all about logs and exponents. You will learn more about logs when you get to university. Try out this question over here, which will be part of question 3. We're going to do that. We will finish off question 3. Please check out the next video. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like. Please also, if you're a super fan, buy a sticker or be a member. I'll greatly appreciate it. All right. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday until the next video. I hope you enjoy that. All right. Math is life. Let's make it fashionable. You're smarter than you think. Okay.